Welcome back to another unsolicited and uneducated football analysis with your friend David Valentin. This time, we are going to be touching a subject that is making its moves throughout the Orlando City fan base, and that is, do we move forward with Oscar Pareja perhaps in 2022 or definitely in 2023? Uh, as of the recording of this video, Orlando City tied with Atlanta at Atlanta, 1-1 apiece. Both teams had the opportunity for the win. Joseph Martinez hit the post, and also Pato hit the post. Pero LSA had several key saves where that ball was going in, and it would have been a defeat against a team that is a shadow of its former self, also a team that is at the very bottom of the table. And if you have watched me in any of our episodes of Loud and Proud Orlando, I have mentioned that Orlando City has the talent of going and giving CPR, giving a shot of life to the seasons of teams that have no business being in the playoffs. So today was very disappointing. Now, Orlando City, if you ask me, this week had two opportunities to win. One in Colorado, they go up ahead with a goal from Facundo Torres. Again, they allow that team to tie. Then we hope for dear life, park the bus, and get out with a point. And the excuse everybody will say is, well, middle of the week, one of the most difficult places to play in North America, Denver. And, not for nothing, you take a point on the road. Sure. Atlanta, who played middle of the week, they won their game. Yes, they were playing at home, but they won their game. And they came here, and they should be very, 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 very disappointed at not defeating Orlando City. A team that, in early years of the rivalry built by the league, well, they had the best of Orlando. They won a ton of games by a goal. Rarely did they got the opportunity to put multiple goals with no answer from Orlando City. I believe that probably happened twice since both teams have been playing against each other. But the fact is that Orlando had the opportunity to go to Atlanta and defeat this team in front of their fans. And unfortunately, what they did is they actually gave them hope that they can turn things around when we know that Gonzalo Pena is not going to save that team. That team is not making playoffs, and he's going to be fired at the end of the season. That's what's going to happen with that team. But going back to Orlando, I personally like Oscar Pareja. I think the person, individual, his qualities, what he's all about, what he stands for, his beliefs. Personally, I really like the man. And as a manager, he has been the most successful and the best manager Orlando City has had in its history. But the sample size is very small. Orlando City in 8 years, there's not much glories to compare this year's to. Quite honestly, Oscar arrives at Orlando City after some of its darkest chapters in MLS, and Orlando City had a very successful existence in USL under Adrian Heath, who has been so far the only manager that Minnesota United has experienced in their MLS history. I will go down to my grave saying it was a mistake to fire Adrian Heath, because firing him did not improve the club in any way. As a matter of fact, if you look at how Minnesota plays, their achievements and everything, quite possibly that would have been our history. It's not nothing to write home about, but that's what would have been. And we fired Adrian to bring Jason Christ and James O'Connor, two people who were a disaster upon a disaster upon a disaster. Add the fact that we were broke, we had no money, and we allowed people in the front office to make signing decisions that were detrimental to the sound state of the club financially and in competition. And some of the players that we brought to Orlando were individuals that lacked the quality that we need on and off the pitch, because football is more than just those 90 minutes on the pitch. It's the total package, attitude, lifestyle. At the end of the day, this is a work center where people have to have good relationships with each other to be a successful team. Sports team, football team is no different than where you and I work. You know, if members of the team are not being led by the proper individuals, and the layout is incorrect, it's not gonna be successful. When I was working on my bachelor's, I have a bachelor's in technology management. If you care to know, business degree basically. I learned in a class, in a management class, the triangle of success. You need to have talent, you need to have money, and you need to have good managers. That's basically it. The talent comes from the people that you hire from your workforce. The managers are the people that execute the goals set by the organization, short and long term, and money is the base of that triangle. You remove any of these three sides of the triangle, you do not get success. I will finish this video because I don't want to make it a long one, with a story that I heard from my rabbi when I took a leadership class in my local synagogue. There's two types of leaders. You could be a Moses or you could be a Joshua. And for those that are not Jewish or Christian or religious at all, have never heard a story, well, most people are familiar with the story of the Ten Commandments, the exodus from slavery by the Israelites in the Bronze Age. Basically, Moses was a leader that takes people who have been slaves for over 400 years, that have never been able to make decisions for themselves, that they have never experienced any joy, that they have basically worked from birth to the grave, and that's basically it. He grabs and takes them out with the promise of being a nation that will be free and happy in the land promised to their forefathers. They get to the desert, adversity comes around, and he has to deal with rebellions, he has to deal with angry people, he has to deal with people who were inconsiderate, who were demanding, etc., etc. These people, when confronted with information that the land that they were going to inherit, they will have to fight for, and that the nations that were there were strong and armed to the teeth, decided, I'd rather go back to Egypt, I'd rather be a slave. And of course, if you read the story, God punishes that generation by saying everybody's gonna die. You don't deserve what I'm about to give you. We need people that all they will know is the hardship of the desert. That way they will be inspired to fight for the land, because the other option is the desert. So Moses went through all that, gets the people all the way to the shore of the River Jordan, which is the border with the new land, and then goes and transfers power and leadership to Joshua. And Moses obviously dies and does not go into the land. So after all that, he doesn't get to go into the trophy lifting, if you will, Joshua gets to do that. Joshua gets inspired, disciplined Israel, and then they go into the land and they conquer it, etc., etc. So that's where the example of some leaders are Joshua's and some leaders are Moses. I believe that Oscar Pareja came to Orlando City at a time of turmoil, came to Orlando City that was in disarray, and set us in a path where now we can see that we can actually make playoffs and that we can win games and that we can go on deep cup runs, etc., etc. But he has reached, in my opinion, the shore of the Jordan. It's time for somebody else to take over. And it's very difficult for me to come to that conclusion because of how much I like the person, how much I think he has inspired not only myself but the players and the fan base to dream big. Unfortunately, sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes you just need a new, fresh ideas, a new vision, and saying that it's time to maybe make a change does not mean that we think poorly of him or that we somewhere disregard his contributions to the club. But maybe it's time to go in a different direction. That's my opinion. Honestly, obviously, I'm recording this before the Open Cup. If we lose to Red Bulls in losing a bad manner, a lot of people are gonna call it a success because we got to the quarterfinals. Oh, sorry, we got to the semifinals. Great achievement, and it wasn't easy. We beat some really good teams through penalty kicks, but winning is winning. And also, if we get to the playoffs and we lose the first round, people are gonna call that a success because we make the playoffs. But the fact of the matter is, at this point, after tasting success, we should be winning Open Cup. We should be lifting the MLS Cup. We have seen other teams with less time, less history, less talent do just that. And we have seen teams powered by millions of dollars achieving those goals. Teams that don't even have a stadium lifting that cup. And as a matter of fact, when I look at the time that I spend away from my family, the time that I invest in the club, the money that I invest in the club, maybe it's time for the club to do something for me because it looks like the last 8 years it has been a one-sided relationship. Me giving my money, my time, my efforts, my support to an organization that quite honestly has given me nothing to cheer about. Football is entertainment. I've been entertained. I have a great time with my family going to the stadium. As a matter of fact, I have mentioned that one of the best times with my kids was the game against DC, a game that we lost, by the way. But at some point, we can't just play seasons for the sake of playing them. We have to have a clear shot at winning something. Otherwise, people are gonna get tired. People are gonna move on to the next thing. The stadium's gonna be empty. We have seen this before, especially in a town where, quite honest, you have to win to keep people's attention. So there it is, my friend. I think that at this time we need to start evaluating where we're heading and where we are right now. Orlando City plays a very predictable football. Orlando City cannot score. Orlando City is it's a 1-0 type of team. Orlando City is a team that has benefited many times from mistakes from the opposition rather than creating opportunities and scoring from them. And after $22 million that were pumped into the club last year or this season, I feel that we should be in a better position than where we are. Teams like Montreal, Red Bulls, Philadelphia, New York City, teams that have lost top talent in their rosters are still better than us. And my friends, at some point we have to raise our hand and say, what do you plan to do about it, Orlando City? So with that said, thank you very much for watching the video. I can be found on Twitter at Florida_man76 and every Monday night live, Loud and Proud Orlando on YouTube. Please give us a like and a share. We're also on audio version if you would rather listen to us than watch us. And also, if you can give me a thumbs up and a subscription here at the Legendary David, that will be appreciated. Thank you very much. May God bless you, and vamos Orlando.